And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. I'm your host, Jessi Holley. And today I want to continue as we wrap up this realignment series with going back to talking about that pause. Now, we've talked about the power of the pause before and embracing pivots. I want to talk today about pausing with purpose so that we can examine a little bit closer, knowing when we need to reset, when we need to rest, and when we need to push. So we've talked about that reset season. We've gone through it. Now we're coming kind of to a close in that reset season. There's still a few weeks left so that you can rev things back up if you need to, so that you can get back to those goals. Fourth quarter is quickly approaching. And so while we're still here in the third quarter, there is still time to hit that reset, realign your goals, and accomplish some of that stuff that you set out to plan, that you set out to do for this year. However, there is a difference in knowing when to rest and when to push to go ahead and get those goals done. Now, I came to find that for myself, toward the end of last year, around this time, I had a choice to make with thinking about whether or not I needed to push harder or if it was time for me to start slowing down. Unfortunately, life was like, you're not going to rest. Hold on, I got something for you. I ain't like it. So, when we're looking at when to rest and when to push, the reason why I wanted to touch on this as we're talking about getting to that realignment phase, realigning your goals. And last week we talked about the goal still being the goal. While that is true, even if we take the time to rest, the goal is still going to be the goal. If we need to let the goal sit on the side and take care of self first so that you can actually finish the goal. When you're ready for the push, it's important to know the difference in the space in your life that you're at and the capacity that you currently have so that you'll know whether or not it is time to push or is it time to sit down for a minute, to breathe, to take some mental rest, emotional rest, and physical rest as well. As we had previously talked about in some of our past episodes, that physical portion of it, whether you're doing your workouts, eating all the right things, doing everything you're supposed to, it is still possible for you to have physical tiredness, physical pain, and just be fatigued because of not having the proper and adequate emotional rest, mental rest, and taking that break when you need to for your mental health. It can start to affect your physical health as well. So, not every pause is procrastination. Some of the things that I started out talking about, sometimes that pause is more than necessary so that you don't tear up yourself, so that you don't tear up the plans that you have, and so that you are able to execute not even at a high level. Sometimes you have to take a look at being able to just execute on an average day-to-day basis. If it's time for you to rest and you're ignoring that, being able to execute on a day-to-day basis, your focus is going to be gone. You're going to be trying to do the thing. And usually we don't say try around here, but you could be trying to do the thing or all the things. And while you're exerting the energy that feels like you running a mile a minute, you're getting nowhere fast because you're pushing when what you should be doing is resting. So that brings me to not every push is productivity. The same way that not every pause is procrastination, not every push is productivity. When you are to the point that it's like your body, your mind is like, hey, you need rest. We need to, wait a minute. We need to rest. And you continue to push and push and push and push. You don't have any capacity left, but you're just going to keep going. the low fuel light, the gas light, it done popped on. Boom. You know that you way below an eighth of a tank. But you like, nah, I got just one more thing, just one more thing. And you keep pushing. Eventually, that vehicle is gonna run out of gas. Eventually, it's just gonna stop. Now, while we're talking about a vehicle being down on the side of the road, that's really cumbersome. It's annoying, but that's easily fixable. But when we're talking about it being you, when your capacity has been depleted and you continue to push and push and push, the equivalent of your body being down and on the side of the road could end up being a stress stroke. It could end up with you needing to be checked into a mental health facility. It could end up with you crashing out. I won't even say doing too much in the most. You could have literally pushed yourself to the point that you're past not having anything left. So, rest versus push. Which one do you need? There's wisdom in knowing the difference. And even when we're looking at, we might not want to stop being productive. We may want to push. But when you're looking at pausing with a purpose, you're looking at what do you need, not what do you want. Because who wants to just stop because they have to? That means that it's a handful of other things that are affecting you that is hindering your progress. But don't become a hindrance to your own process by not pausing when you need to, by not taking rest when you need to. You can go ahead and continue to push if that's what you want to do, but probably not the best idea. So let's talk about some signs of when you need a break. Your body is going to tell you sometimes before your mind is ready to admit it. Now, when I talked about that, you don't want to rest. Remember, when I'm talking about me too, I'm going to raise my hand and be accountable with y'all. Your body is going to tell you that you need to rest before your mind does. When you are going after the goals, going after the things, you're used to being high functioning, getting results, doing all the things, being successful, quote unquote. There are going to be times where your mind is going to want to keep pushing. And you're like, I just did this reset. I got everything. I feel like I got everything back on track. Now I have to maintain this. I have to keep going and going and going and going. Do you? Is now the time for you to be in Energizer Bunny mode? Or are you supposed to be slowing down, cruising? Or are you supposed to be resting altogether? So when you're looking for some of the signs of your body telling you, hey, we're reaching capacity, we're almost at the threshold, we don't have that much left, you'll start to notice that when I said that you could start crashing out and stuff, you could be more irritable. You start to get upset, annoyed, agitated, irritated with things or people, situations that usually you wouldn't be that annoyed. Your fuse becomes shorter. I know a lot of people like, oh yeah, I got anger issues, da 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 da. Okay, that's cute, fine. But when you need a break, whether you need to get your temper under control or not, you're going to be even more irritable. You can look for, are you starting to forget everything? Have you had that moment where you like, oh, I'm about to go wait, why am I in this room? Hold on, let me stand here and think about it. What I come in here for? While you're in the middle of speaking with others, are you forgetting what were you talking about? Did you go on a tangent? You told the whole story, get to the end of the story, you're like, wait, why was I telling you that? Look for that forgetfulness. So looking for irritability, forgetfulness. Do you have decision fatigue? My pilots, my pilots. I want you, if you have a high score in your pilot, I want you to especially look at this. And honestly, I would say some of my ATCs as well, because you're looking at all of the details that determine decisions. Pilots, especially, and I would say ATCs are a close second. Pay attention to decision fatigue. Are you to the point where when there's a decision to be made, no matter how big or small, you find yourself being like, you know what? I don't care one way or another. Is that the truth? That you don't care one way or another? Or is it that you have decision fatigue? You're literally tired of making decisions. Have you had too many decisions to make? Pay attention to that decision fatigue. Do you feel like you're in a state of constant exhaustion? Doesn't matter how much you sleep, how much coffee you take your vitamins, you get your exercise, but you always just feel heavy. You always feel tired with no explanation. You got adequate sleep, you've drank enough water, you've taken your vitamins, you may have even had some coffee, tea, whatever it is, your protein shake, all of the things, but you just feel heavy. You just feel tired. Like you could just take a nap at any time. And then when you lay down and take the nap, you like, why is my mind all over the place? Is your work being affected? Are you experiencing a lack of creativity? The things that usually you would be able to just write fluidly, or you would be able to get out a canvas and just start to paint. You're able to usually create content. You're usually able to do some dynamic designs quick with ease. You enjoy it. Are you running into that writer's block? Are you experiencing that lack of creativity where you feel like it just doesn't really matter how much effort you're putting into it, that that creative portion of your brain is just not working the same? Do you feel resentful toward other people? People that do get to rest, people that you're like, ugh, such and such has a soft life. No one will ever understand. Do you have those feelings of resentment where you're seeing that other people, quote unquote, get to rest and you don't? And then finally, one last thing to look for is a loss of joy. Are you able to still find the joy in small things? Or have you just thrown your hands up and chalked everything to, you know what, it sucks, it's gonna suck. And yep, it's down the drain, blah, blah, blah. If you're experiencing any of those things, those are signs that you need to take a break. And even if your mind is going back and forth with you, those are the signs that are coming through where your body is like, hey, alert, alert, alert. We need rest. Hey, self. Self should say, I don't want to, but we need to take a break. It's time to sit down. Now, when you're looking at actually taking that rest, if you have seen some of those warning signs, there is a difference between having healthy rest and avoiding whatever it is that is bothering you. So there is healthy rest and there's avoidance. When you're being strategic and true to yourself and taking that rest, I want you to beware of doing activities that are self care activities, but you're doing them to avoid that you do actually need rest. So, examples of healthy rest is the type of rest that it actually restores your energy. It creates clarity for you, or you regain your clarity. Healthy rest does have intention, and healthy rest has a return date. So, if you're looking at things like you notice that you do have a lot of tension in your shoulders, you're noticing that your posture has been crouched over that computer keyboard for so long. You're feeling that tension in the top of your shoulders, sometimes in your chest, in the back of your neck. And so you say, okay, I'm going to get a massage so that I can relieve some of the tension. What are some of the ways that you're going to have that energy restored? I'm just gonna schedule with a massage. I'm gonna go lay on the table for an hour and then right after that, I'm right back to the computer, hunched over typing again. Yeah, that's doing something, but that doesn't sound like it's restoring energy, creating clarity. There is some intention there, but when we're talking about having intention for healthy rest, your massage will look more like, I'm going to schedule this massage. I will make sure before I go that I am hydrated. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting the right liquids and foods into my body. After I come from the massage parlor, I'm going to be sure to continue to let my body relax for the duration of the afternoon. I'm not going to go take an hour break and call that healthy rest and then get right back to the thing. It's being honest with yourself that it's okay for you to plan an entire afternoon and actually benefiting from that restorative energy of getting your massage, planning yourself a nice lunch, maybe even picking a movie or a show or pre-choosing some binaural beats on YouTube or something that you will take the time to actually relax for the rest of the afternoon. Having that intention with how you are going to take that healthy rest for the rest of the afternoon or for that day. When you have that type of intention, that automatically builds in that return date. Are you taking a day of rest? Are you going to go ahead and actually take off the whole weekend? Friday at 5:30 p.m., I'm going to shut it down at my desk. I will plan to meet a friend for drinks, for dinner, for a social activity. Saturday morning, I will sleep in and then go to my massage and spend a leisurely afternoon resting in my home. In order for you to actually take that rest on Saturday afternoon, does that mean that you need to spend your Friday evening cleaning your home and your space so that you can actually rest mentally, not just physically, when you take your Saturday off? Do you have something planned for yourself on that Sunday? Do you observe a Sabbath? Are you planning to go to a faith-based worship service or create the atmosphere in your home where you're going to watch it online? What does that look like for you to actually take the weekend off? Are you returning to work refreshed on Monday morning? Are you going to return to work, quote unquote, on Sunday night to prepare for Monday morning? Scheduling out that, I'm going to take 20 to 40 minutes so that I can plan my day for tomorrow and set yourself a timer. Once that 20 minutes is up on Sunday evening for you to prepare for Monday morning, once the 20 minutes is over, it's over. And you're back to winding down and preparing for Monday. When you're looking at avoidance versus that healthy rest, avoidance looks like escaping responsibility. It looks like delaying difficult decisions. It looks like feeding your fear. And there's no plan to return. When your pause is rooted in avoidance, which is easy to do when you've gotten to the point that you are overwhelmed, you've been operating beyond your capacity, you've been flirting with burnout for a while, and or you may already be there and don't even realize it, or you haven't accepted that you are at the point of burnout. It's easy to be in a state of avoidance and you think that what you're doing is resting. This is why we want to try to get ahead of it before you get to the point of that unconscious avoidance where you feel like everything is just going to stop and shut down. You don't know when you're going to get started back. You're constantly anxious, worried about everything, but doing nothing. There's no strategy behind it, no plan. You're just so overwhelmed that you just stop because at that point you don't have a choice. This is why we're addressing it before it gets to the point of you being forced into avoidance. So, when you are looking at that healthy rest, you can make sure that you aren't slipping over into that side of avoidance by making sure that you do accept to yourself that doing the responsible thing is planning that healthy rest, making sure that you are intentional about doing so. If you do need to strategically delay some difficult decisions, make sure that you have one, gotten those decisions, write it out. Make yourself a note. What are the decisions that you need to return to after you've taken some healthy rest so that you're able to look at it with a clear mind? And so that you're able to intentionally review what are the options available to you so that you can make a sound decision and not a decision while you're in the midst of decision fatigue. Make sure that you are releasing any fear, anxiety, any of those negative feelings that you have around having that healthy rest. That's a part of the reason why you're creating a small action plan so that you can be sure that you're having that healthy rest and not just getting to the point where you just flop down because you're so exhausted. There's no intention behind your rest or anything. You just stopped because your battery hit zero. And then also, so that you're able to avoid the avoidance, see what I did there? Make sure that you have a plan for return. So even if you don't get everything done that you plan to do, which also beware of that, make sure that you don't overpack your healthy rest plan. Make sure that, and honestly, I would say only plan one morning activity, one afternoon activity. That's it. There are some other things that you can do in between. I mean, of course, ballpark, what are your meals going to be? Or are you just going to wait until the day of and decide, what do I have a taste for right now? If that's the route that you're going to go, allow yourself to rest in that. If you say, you know what, I don't want to make a decision about what I'm going to eat during my healthy rest plan. I am going to wait until and I'm going to decide what I have a taste for. When the time gets there for you to say, what do I currently have a taste for? If it's you going to decide to take yourself to some fancy restaurant or whatever, make sure the funds are there, of course, and you're being financially responsible, but don't second guess your decision at that point. You're doing things that are restful, things that are restorative, things that are giving you your energy back, things that are allowing you to just enjoy existing or enjoy just being you. But we're making sure that we have a plan for return. We aren't just gallivanting off into the sunset. And I mean, it ends when it ends. It ends once I max out my credit cards. It ends, once I've run out of PTO. That's not what we're doing. We have a time to start and we have an end date so that we can make sure that we're planning within a specific time block. And that in itself is part of what is going to help you with your healthy rest because you don't have that, well, when am I going back? Well, what about this? What about that? You aren't going to be thinking about that in the back of your mind because you've already predetermined this is when my rest starts. This is when my rest stops when you're taking that break. So, some questions to ask yourself before you do actually take the break. A few things. Ask yourself, am I tired or am I afraid? When you are moving and start to live in a constant state of being afraid of what's going to happen next, being anxious about, well, I don't know if I'm making the right decision, thinking about all of the decisions that need to be made. And so you procrastinate on them. You don't address or think about all of the variables available to you in making those decisions. Are you actually tired or are you afraid? Are you emotionally and mentally tired? Are you exhausted from all the things? And that is creating disorganization and dysfunction? Or are you actually afraid to make the decision? Being tired does require that healthy rest. If you're looking at taking a break because you're afraid of what's next, that would lean more towards that avoidance. Are you healing or are you hiding? Do you need to take time for, again, that restoration? Are there some things that you need to address? Are there some emotions that you need to work through? When you're looking at healing, sometimes it's not just going to be solved in a self-care weekend. Healing does require a concerted effort over an extended period of time. If you're truly looking at healing, as opposed to hiding from how you feel, hiding from the emotions, hiding from the situations, or masking it, throw on some lashes, some shades. Everything's gonna be fine. And the house burning down behind you. So look at, are you healing and do you need a space for healthy rest so that you can heal? And making that healthy rest a part of your routine for right now so that you are able to heal? Or are you hiding? Are you avoiding the situations, the emotions that you need to address so that you can work through them, so that you can release them, so that you can get to a place of forgiveness, so that you are able to move into repair? I'm pointing at the sign. Just because we're working through healing, restoration, repair, that does not require reconciliation. Everybody can't go. And then finally, are you restoring or are you procrastinating? Again, back to making all those different decisions, all the things, because life don't stop lifing just because you are tired, because you're exhausted. Everything around you is going to continue to move. And for most of us, we don't have another person who's able to pick up all of the pieces for us or hold all of those things while we're trying to restore, heal, and rest. So, are you needing to take that pause so that you're restoring yourself, restoring some order, restoring some organization? And I mean organization to your life, not an organization. Or are you procrastinating? Are you living in decision fatigue? So you're just waiting until the last minute or the deadline to give an answer or to make a choice on all the things, leaving it until it cannot wait anymore because you didn't pause at the proper time to take a healthy rest so that you're able to reset and realign so that you're able to move forward and get things done in a way that makes sense. Are you procrastinating because you have gotten to the state of avoidance where you're just like, oh, well, I'm gonna just let it go? That's one of those spaces. Am I restoring or procrastinating? That's one of those places where, yeah, it sound nice to just, I'm just gonna let go and let God. Are you? Or is that the Band-Aid that you slapped on top of avoidance so that you can continue to procrastinate instead of taking that pause that you need? Because sometimes that pause is going to be longer than what you want, longer than what you desire. But again, we're talking about the pause and the rest that you need, not what you want at current. And while I'm telling y'all this, my feet are kicking and screaming under the desk because I know how it feels. Like, okay, hey, I planned this amount of rest, and after it, we're gonna get right back to it. These are the things. And yeah, life gonna be life, but I'm gonna catch up. What if your break requires 3 months and you only planned on taking 3 days? What if your healthy rest involves multiple increments over those 3 months, over the course of 6 months, implementing it over the course of a year? Not just saying, I'm going to slap a facial and a massage monthly on it and continue on about my way. That's avoidance. Now, while those tools and setting those self-care breaks in there, it can be a good thing, but make sure that when you are setting those things up, that you aren't just slapping it on your calendar as a band-aid, thinking that it's going to fix everything. Because remember, that goal is still that goal. It's still going to be there. We need to make sure that you are there and also operating at the highest capacity that you can while you're going after that goal that's still the goal. I know that some stuff, it does have a timeline. There is a deadline on it. But if your capacity is already at 0 or you're down to 10%, pushing, if that finish line isn't right there in front of you, that last 10%, if you can see it, it's in the distance. Be honest with yourself. Is that last little 10% of your capacity that you have left, is it going to get you there? Or are you going to exhaust yourself and still the finish line is going to be in the distance while you're laying there in the dirt? It's an honest and necessary conversation that we have to have with ourselves when we're deciding whether or not we are going to be able to push through successfully or whether we're going to push through to a point of burnout and still have to take the pause anyway. But now it's unexpected. It's not necessarily strategic. And it's not so that you're able to recharge your battery, refill your tank so that you can come back stronger. Because your rest is supposed to prepare you so that you can continue the work. Not the rest isn't to replace the work. The rest isn't another set of stuff for you to do. The rest is supposed to be restorative. And so that you can think clearer, so that you do have your creative edge back, so that you know when you're returning to getting the work done, so that you know how much intensity that you're coming back with when you are still working at that goal that's still the goal. So we're looking at creating a return plan, set one next step, and in terms of setting your rest, start taking your rest before you feel like you're ready to rest. And that's a feeling I want you to get used to because we always talk about starting to do the thing before you feel like you're ready, right? So when we're talking about building, we're talking about working towards those goals, we're talking about executing, we're always like, okay, just do it scared. You might not feel like you're ready, but just start. Go ahead and you got to get in there. This is a action sport. You got to get in the game. I want you to take that same ideology and apply it to taking that strategic pause for planned healthy rest. Start taking that time of healthy rest before you feel ready to rest. Because the thing about it is, you're not going to feel ready to rest until you're exhausted if you haven't thought about it ahead of time and planned it ahead of time so that you can make sure that you don't get to the point of exhaustion and burnout in the first place. And when you're going after your goals, and then life just happens. And so you're not accounting for all of the other things that get dropped onto your plate as you are moving along. Something's going to have to give. Something is going to have to be adjusted and realigned. And when you don't honor that, that is what can lead you right down that path of burnout. you'll be flirting with it and don't even know yet because you're like, yeah, no, I can just keep going. When you say you can just keep going, have you accounted for all of the other things that other people in life are dropping on your plate? We don't have to take everything that other people are putting on our plates, but sometimes it's inevitable. You aren't able to just let all the other things fall by the wayside while you're going after your goals. Have you accounted for the extra energy and the extra resources that that takes? That's something to think about and consider when you're like, "Oh, this is taking too long. I should have, I thought that I would." Yeah, that was based upon you making the plan for yourself and working on the goal and the goal alone. Maybe it wasn't your procrastination. Maybe it wasn't your lack of effort. Maybe it wasn't that you weren't working hard enough toward the goal. If you have not accounted for the way that you are connected to other people and the responsibility and the capacity, the energy, the resources that go to the other people in your life, your family, your friends, your job, your business, all of those other things that are beyond or out of your control, have you planned for capacity for those things? Or did you only focus on the goal as if you were going to get to live in a bubble while you were going after those goals? When you wrote your goal list, did you write out your goal list in the beginning as if you lived in a bubble and there would be no other outside factors that would make a difference while you were working on said goal or goals? So just know that just like everybody can't go with you to the next level, sometimes hustle can't go with you into your next season. When you are being realistic and looking at your capacity, sometimes exhaustion needs to be left behind. And so that you can do that, you have to decide when it's time for rest and when it's time for a push. And you have to take into consideration all of the factors that are affecting whether or not it's a wise decision to rest right then or right now, or whether it's a wise decision for you to push right now. Be wise when you're taking your pause. Make sure that when you're taking your pause, that there is a purpose to it so that you don't have to start and so that you don't start feeling like you're pausing just because you're being lazy, because you're procrastinating. Yeah, I know, I don't get tired. Da, 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 da. I've said it all. But realignment isn't changing who you are. It's not abandoning the goal list. When you're looking at realignment, it's considering the capacity that you have at current and how that affects your execution and how that affects when, how, and the plan for taking your healthy rest so that you can continue working out at that reset that you've established or those continuing along on those goals that you're working on. And so that you can make sure that you avoid burnout and have a forced pause when you are able to that now that is a pause that is controllable, making sure that you don't allow yourself to be pushed into burnout. It's a part of becoming more aligned with who you were created to be. When we're looking at that capacity so that you are able to continue after the required rest, after the needed rest, so that you can continue along, not just hit the brick wall and you're like, well, dang, now I'm stuck in a pause. Sometimes it means that you're looking at changing up your schedule, you're realigning that schedule based upon your capacity, your needs, and the goal. You might have to change some habits based upon what is available to you right now, what you need right now. You might have to change and realign some boundaries so that you can get to that goal without burning yourself out. without forcing your mind, body, and spirit into a pause. It might look like realigning or changing up your circle. That could be something that's permanent, or it could be something that is temporary or something that's needed at the time. Do you need to add on a mentorship group? Do you need to add on a specific community that is niched in that area that your goal is set in? Do you need to join a new organization? Get around a new set of people that are experts in that area or more well versed in assisting you along your path? Do you need to change up your pace? I'm just going to shake my head at that one because y'all know I'm all pilot and flight attendant. My pace is fast and that's it. On the other side of that, my GCs and ATCs, your pace is slow. That's it. But being able to accelerate or slow down, pump them brakes a little bit when we need to, whether your preference is that slower pace or your preference is that fast pace. Either way, the same way that you need to be ready at any point during your journey when you're driving a vehicle, that gas pedal and that brake are right next to each other. We also, regardless of our preference, need to be ready to speed up or slow down when needed. Depending on what your personality preferences are, you will have some areas of challenge, whether you need to slow down and you just live in the fast lane, or whether you need to speed up and you're comfortable and like to live in a slow lane. Whether you need to realign your schedule, your habits, your boundaries, your circle, your pace, any of that stuff, it doesn't mean that your purpose changes. The goal is still the goal. The destination is still the destination. You're still going to get there. But we're looking at making sure that we're taking a healthier route to get there so that even when we're pausing, we can be strategic about the pause. And it's preferable that we plan a 3-day pause as opposed to being forced into a 3-month pause later on down the line because you've pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed when it was time for you to pause with a purpose and know when to rest so that you're able to avoid burnout. So, and thank you guys for joining me for another Everybody Can't Go Convo. Just a few housekeeping notes for you guys. If you haven't noticed, we have exclusive Let episodes that are dropping every Tuesday and Thursday through the rest of 2026. So we're ending out the year with business highlights and insights from speakers, coaches, consultants, licensed clinicians every Tuesday and Thursday for the rest of this year. And for the month of September, we are having a huge blowout here at Everybody Can't Go. You're talking about the Tuesday and Thursday episodes, of course, our regularly scheduled Wednesday programming. And we're actually going to dig into talking about that burnout. So join us next week starting on Tuesday, which is September 1st. And next week, we have coming up for you a September burnout triple header. So we are starting on September 1st, where we will be addressing burnout, some of the things around it. And that will be the kickoff for the month of September, where we will be focusing on that burnout because I know that everybody's not able to avoid it. You may have already been there, or like I said in today's episode, you may have been flirting with burnout and didn't even know it yet. We're going to address all those things throughout the month, next month, throughout the month of September. And also the final reset cohort, the last cohort of the reset method for this year, that starts also on September 1st. So if you haven't gotten the chance to join the Reset Method program, we are doing one more 30-day program for the year 2026. That starts on September 1st. And make sure that you head over to reset.everybodycg.com so that you're able to join the reset method. And that last cohort starts on September 1st. Wait a minute. Nope. No, it doesn't. Sorry. My bad. Last cohort starts September 15th. My bad. I forgot that 5 in the show notes. I'm like, wait a minute. Something doesn't sound right about that. So that last reset method cohort starts on September 15th. But still tune in on September 1st, where we're going to start on that burnout triple header. And we have some licensed clinicians, great coaches coming in, dynamic interviews, and of course, yours truly throughout the month. And we will see you guys. Actually, we'll see you around here tomorrow for the next Let episode, if you're tuning in for those entrepreneurial episodes. And we'll also, as always, see you next week, next Wednesday for another Everybody Can't Go Convo.